what would you like President Ramaphosa to do about the situation that we've just seen on the screen?
I don't know. Look, these are articles over the last few days. Death of people. Death. Horrible death. Death. I don't know. To pick anyone, white South Africans are fleeing because of the violence and racist laws. And this is
in terms of our constitution.
But you do allow them to take land.
No.
You do allow them to take land.
Nobody can take land.
And then when they take the land, they kill the white farmer. And when they kill the white farmer, nothing happens to them.
No, there is
nothing happens to them.
There is criminality in our country. People who do get killed, unfortunately through criminal activity, are not only white people. Majority of them are black people. And we have now been utilized.
The farmers are not black. I don't
now
say that's good or bad, but the farmers are not black. And the people that are being killed in large numbers, and you saw all those grave sites, and those are people that loved ones going, I guess on a Sunday morning, they told me, to pay respect to their loved ones that were killed.
Donald Trump claims that there's a white genocide taking place in South Africa. Absolute and bare lies being told by Trump and his Central Ignorance Agency. It would seem as though the white supremacy are trying to make out as though they themselves are the victims. There is no evidence to support the claim that black Africans are targeting white Afrikaner farmers in a campaign of genocide. Recent data from April to December 2024 shows there was 36 murders connected to farms. And not only that, only 7 of the victims were farmers. The remaining 29 victims were farm workers, who were predominantly black Africans. So who are these white Afrikaner farmers who are being taken into the US as refugees? They are Boers. Boer is Dutch for farmer. These Afrikaners, along with other people from France and Britain, came to South Africa for economic opportunities in 1652. They were sent by none other than the Dutch East India Company. The Dutch East India Company sent out Boers, soldiers and company officials to take the land, to cultivate the land, and to establish a colony to refresh the Dutch East India Company ships sailing to and from Asia and Europe. These genocidal colonial opportunists eventually fell out with one another when the black Africans in the diaspora won their fight for freedom and slavery was abolished in the 1830s. It was the proposed abolition of slavery that kick-started the American Civil War. Now, just like in the American Civil War, these Boer plantation owners who profited the most from slavery did not wish to give up that wealth, social status and power. And so the Boer colonizers migrated inland, in what is known as the Great Track Inland. They did this to colonize new land so they could continue to profit from slavery. They established 2 colonies, the Orange Free State and the South African Republic. The British, however, wanted to control the entire region, as colonizers often do, especially what with gold and diamond deposits being found more inland. And so began a war between these 2 colonialists. There were 2 wars, in fact, and sadly, many black Africans died. The Boers won the first war, but the British came back in the second war with more troops and more munitions, and were too much eventually for the Boers. The British took Boers captive as prisoners of war, and this is where the Boer victim myth actually comes from. The real story, however, is of 2 genocidal colonialists fighting for the control of stolen land resources and the African people. The wealth generated by these atrocious acts by these European colonizers is a generational wealth that is still relevant today. And this is ultimately what it all boils down to, and why Donald Trump and his big buddy Elon Musk are what they fear most. Or should I say, what the white supremacy fears most. They fear people like Julius Malema from the Economic Freedom Fighters Party gaining power and there being a land reform, a liken to the one that happened in Zimbabwe in the 1980s. Well, that didn't take place up until the 2000s, I think. But that is what they fear the most. You see, when apartheid was ended in May 1990, that's right, only May 1990 did apartheid end, and black Africans won their freedom. There was a call for peace and reconciliation. And when it all boils down to it, can there really be any reconcile when that which is stolen has not yet been given back? How can you reconcile with people who are still rich off the backs of slavery, off the backs of colonization, murder, and genocide? You see, there's different types of slavery, not just the physical type of slavery where you're enchained and you're whipped and you work for nothing, essentially. There is a type of slavery called economic slavery. And when you do not reconcile land to the people who you stole the land and resources from, you put people into a state of poverty, which you can see quite clearly in South Africa and the diaspora in the Americas, in the black communities who have just suffered 500 years roughly of atrocities. And when you look at statistics of crime and this stuff in these communities, all you're seeing is poverty statistics. You're seeing a people who are essentially just fighting to live. You're not seeing any racial profile that shows a certain ethnicity are more murderous than another. Because when you really look at it, if you were going to be racially profiling anybody, you would see the people in the global north as being leaps and bounds above all else when it comes to theft, slavery, and genocide. How can you reconcile with a people who show no signs of remorse or repentance from the actions of their ancestors who stole and committed these atrocities? There can be no peace, there can be no reconcile without reparations and land reform. So until that time comes, we African people are gonna sing.
So fast kichi, etati, kichi kichi, kichima, kichi kichi, kichima. Sibram konto, alaye. Sibram konto, alaye. Shoot to kill, killawa. Shoot to kill, Namaza. Kiss the poor, the farmer. Kiss the poor, the farmer. Brr, pa, pa. Brr, pa, pa. Attention.